Oh my God, I don't care if you have a good voice. Stop telling me. But that's pretty good news if you think your voice sucks, because I'm about to tell you why that doesn't matter if you want to be a voice actor. Hey guys, my name is Joe Zija. I've been a voice actor for 10 years here in Los Angeles, and I'm the founder of LearnVoiceActing.com, where we empower you to start your voice acting career today. Okay, so what does matter? I'm gonna give you 3 things by the end of this video that you can use to distinguish yourself as a voice actor and start your career without worrying about whether or not you have a good voice. But first, let me explain for a minute why I don't actually care. If you've been a voice actor for any length of time, you're probably constantly hearing people come up to you and say, hey, people tell me that I have a really good voice. And I can firmly say, I speak with the voice of the entire industry when I say, that's great, but so what? Okay, so you have a cool car. Do you know how to drive it? You were born with the ability to fly, but can you navigate from point A to point B without getting lost? Think about it in terms of basketball, okay? Sure, if you're born with genetics that make you 7 feet tall, you have a slight advantage over everybody else, but you still have to work on your skills. You still have to make shots. You still have to understand the game. Height might be a little bit of an unfair advantage, but it also might be a crutch. Mentally, if you feel like you have an unfair advantage, you are unlikely to work as hard as everybody else, which will make the rest of your performance go down. It's the same in voice acting. Having a good set of pipes is great and all, but if you can't act your way out of a paper bag, it's not gonna do you any good. If that basketball player can't run 4 steps without tripping, the fact that they can slam dunk without jumping, doesn't matter. This is why I always tell my students that I don't care if you have a good voice or not. In business and in all areas of life, of course, it's nice to have some unfair advantages. And if you have them, you should leverage them. Having a naturally marketable set of pipes is great. Having naturally good charisma is great. Being able to navigate social situations as an actor is wonderful. Being good with numbers so you can manage your business properly sets you apart from 99% of everybody in a gig economy. But if you don't know how to utilize these skills and you can't put them into practice in a way that's effective for the specific business you're trying to achieve, there's just not much point in it. But let's talk about specifics. Let's talk about impressionists, okay? These folks can manipulate their voice in ways that are insane. They can sound like anybody. They can convince you that Bugs Bunny is standing in the room with you. So I have to ask you, why isn't that dude playing Bugs Bunny? Why isn't that guy booking all the voiceover work? Discussing how to do impressions and how to market yourself as an impressionist could be a field of study in and of itself, but you get the point I'm trying to make, right? Even when you have a good voice and can manipulate it well, that doesn't necessarily mean you're guaranteed success as a voice actor. Why? Because there's another half of the phrase, voice actor, actor. If you know anything about me and my career, you know that I generally don't support traditional acting training. I'm not a formally trained actor myself. I've taken, maybe a handful of acting classes in my entire life. And in general, when people say the words like Stanislavski, I just mentally check out. But that doesn't mean you can't work at being a good actor and that there aren't specific set of skills required to do so. I'm just generally not an advocate of prescriptive art. That small tangent aside, I really hope I'm impressing upon you by now that the quality of your voice has very little to do with your ability to book work in this industry. So, I promised you at the beginning that I'd give you 3 things that do matter. Well, let me pony up on that promise right now. First, be easy to work with. Honestly, this is the biggest one. There are countless stories in the entertainment industry, both in A-list celebrities and in us low-bid voice actors, of people who relied on their credentials and their talent and their good looks and forgot not to be jerks. We read the stories all the time about how someone was an absolute hellstorm to work with on set, and although sometimes it takes a while for things to come around, they always do. Eventually that actor stops working, doesn't know why, and by the time it does happen, their ego is so huge that they're not even sure how to adjust to it. The worst part about this sometimes is that because they didn't surround themselves with the right kind of people, there was no one to tell them that the emperor was wearing no clothes. There was no one to check their behavior, keep them grounded, and keep them professional. Being easy to work with is absolutely about your attitude. Now, I'm not saying to roll over and stop advocating for yourself, take everything laying down, because down that path leads all other kinds of failure like burnout and exploitation. But I am saying to approach this career with a sense of gratitude and patience and professionalism. Take direction well and gracefully. Show up on time. Don't clown around in the booth. Ask smart questions and set good expectations. You'll be surprised how far that will put you ahead. Second, Put in the work. Here's something that I talk about all the time, especially with my students, but it bears repeating because I'd say that like 80% of the voice acting community doesn't adhere to it. You have to go out and put in the work. If you're sitting on your laurels waiting for the work to come to you, you're doing it wrong. If you're expecting your agent, who only makes 10% of your pay, to do 90% of the work, you're doing it wrong. If you spent the last couple weeks or months getting ready to audition, but not actually getting any auditions out of there, you're doing it wrong. You simply cannot book work unless you're out there trying to find it. I talk about the 3 ways to find work in my voice acting academy, but if you're not direct marketing or on casting websites or interfacing with your agents and just getting out there with your nose to the ground, you're never gonna make any progress. I also want to mention that people often confuse procrastination with work. What do I mean by that? I mean that if your life list has a bunch of stuff on it that doesn't actually impact your career as a voice actor and could wait until tomorrow, but you prioritize that first, you're procrastinating. Maybe you think you're not good enough. Maybe you think you're gonna fail. Maybe you're afraid of rejection, and I wanna talk about rejection in another video that I'll release soon, so make sure you watch out for it if it hasn't already been out. I don't know what it is that's holding you back. That's work that you need to do. But you need to take a good hard look at your calendar and your mentality and ask yourself, have I been putting in the work, or have I been putting in the motions of putting in the work? I can't tell you how many established voice actors I talked to who didn't audition in the last week because they were either too tired or too lazy or too satisfied with where they were. Complacency can be a killer. Can I be very honest with you in here that I've actually done this myself? If you take a look at one of the last videos I did about my biggest voice acting mistakes last year, not putting in the work was one of them. Now, I had diverted focus because I had so many other things going on. That was part of the problem, but the point still remains. If you're not doing it, you're not doing it. I know that sounds simple, but everyone seems to ignore it to their peril. Third, understand business. This is a huge one for everyone in a creative field. Look, I get it, okay? We're creatives. We're a little loopy sometimes. Our heads are in the clouds. We dream big. We got big hearts, big feels. Sometimes it's hard to get grounded and stay grounded. But at the end of the day, this industry is a business, a gigantic business. And business is won and lost by people who understand it or don't understand it. And this doesn't just extend to the business of voice acting, it extends to the business of your life. Are you financially stable? Did you quit your job in order to pursue something that's not a guarantee? Big no-no if you're one of my students. Are you approaching your auditions out of a place of need and not a place of play and fun? If you don't have your financial life together, and if you don't have a good sense of your earnings and how to track them and how to spend them, you're shooting yourself in the foot. You need to understand basic business principles like how to negotiate, how to price yourself, how to allocate your capital, how to build a team when you're ready. All of these skills are vital to success in the voice acting industry. And if you think about business and start to break out in cold sweats, it's time to go conquer that fear, or it's gonna conquer your career. Did you notice that nowhere in here did I talk about your voice? These 3 major skills that are pivotal to your success in the voice acting industry, you're not born with any of them. You can learn all of them, you can master some of them. And all of that's within your control. You are empowered. So, the next time you meet a voice actor in the wild, or a director, or a casting director, or anyone in the industry that you're trying to tell that you have the goods, skip the part where you tell them you have a good voice. I mentioned a couple of different videos here, and if you haven't looked at how to spend your first $500 in voice acting, you should definitely check out that video so you can start building your business the smart way. And if you want to learn more about the mistakes I made last year and how you can avoid them, you can check out that video too. It's all ready for you. And if you're ready for the next step, head over to the link in the description below to get my free ebook or my free 20-minute training on how to get started in voice acting today with no prior experience. I appreciate you guys subscribing and liking the channel, keeping it healthy for the next generation of voice actors. Go get behind the mic, and I'll see you in the next one.